Hello again, and welcome to our very last part of our journey together. Now, I left you before having discussed the notion of B Corps or benefit corporations as a sort of minority approach to doing business. This socio-economic movement challenges the idea that the responsibilities of an organisation only extend to maximising shareholder value. Personally, I like to think of Milton Friedman as listening from beyond the grave at our discussions so far, and he would be shaking his head horrified. The B Corps movement also implies that social enterprise, whilst a strongly admirable type of business activity or business model in itself, should not be the only means by which we, as a society, pursue the idea of the business world becoming more responsible in its contribution towards a more sustainable planet, both on a local and global basis. And I left you with a couple of papers to read and a documentary. But we didn't really discuss how these powerful changes have occurred. Do you remember me asking you to think about why, in your opinion, have the behaviour or activities of organisations started to change? And you probably came up with ideas that had to do with how we care more as a society, how attitudes have shifted from profit, and how consumers have started to demand that businesses start acting in more responsible ways. One of the ways in which we can understand how norms and expectations around behavioural change is to apply a theoretical lens. Now, when you see a solar eclipse, you stare at the sun through special glasses or a strip of darkened plastic material. It stops the sun from burning your retinas, it keeps you safe. But the glasses, or rather the lens in the glasses, helps you to see and understand the eclipse more clearly. We use the same approach when we try to understand a social or economic phenomenon. In our case, we're trying to understand change, how and why change happens, and how we can make change happen. We can apply a theoretical lens, i.e. a set of principles, through which we can view the changes occurring. When we looked at B Corps, their principles were not specific to a particular industry or business segment. But in this last part of our course, we're going to be looking at two specific industries. First, we're going to be exploring a historical case where a social movement called the Women's Christian Temperance Movement caused massive devastation to the alcoholic beverage industry at the time of Prohibition in the United States, and which encouraged soft drink entrepreneurs to emerge. And second, we're going to be looking at the art industry and how a group of young British entrepreneurs aggressively challenged and changed boundaries in British art and how art is exhibited. And for each of these cases, we're going to be applying the same theoretical lens, something called institutional theory. So your first task for this last part of our course together is to read the PDF that you'll find in this folder directly after the audio, and it summarises institutional theory. It's super important that you do this. It lays the foundations for the rest of the unit, and it might be important for your test. So, once you've read it, click on the next document and sequence where we're going to be discussing the Women's Christian Temperance Movement. Happy reading, and I'll see you soon.